Hello, this is Dr. Keith Whitten, and this is another Monad Kickstarter video. And once again, it's on the subject of daylight savings. Can't seem to get enough on this subject. I know how exciting it is for everyone out there also. So here we go. Now, in the last video, I talked about what happened in the fall when you fall backwards. Now let's advance backwards and see what happened earlier, which occurred, see there, 12 to 13. So let's find where it happens. Right here. So this is March 7, 2020 is when we had a spring forward of the onset of a daylight savings. This is a standard time right here, and suddenly you had a daylight savings occur. And once again, we haven't got the programming hooked up here to account for the time zones. Actually, daylight savings occurs at 2 a.m. in the morning when most people are asleep. But the fact is, some doctors work in the emergency room. They're going to have to deal with the fact that they're up and in the process of going through their life when this event occurs, which is the springing forward. Now, what actually springs forward is the hour hand on a regular clock, which has 12 numbers around the dial. And what happens when you get to 2 o'clock in the morning, you spring forward to 3 o'clock. So now on this situation, instead of 2 o'clock, it occurs at 18, which is 6 p.m. So when you get to 6 p.m., it springs forward to 7 p.m. Now, the problem is, look at this event wedge here. So I was working on a Facebook video, working out a script, and I did this from 2:50 in the afternoon up until 5:55, almost 6 p.m. So this event wedge is accurately displayed here. But then what happens is when it got to daylight savings, all of a sudden it's 7 o'clock right there, and here's 1800, which is before the end of this event wedge. Now, the problem is someone who came up with this daylight savings, they were thinking only in terms of a digital clock. You just advance the hour hand, switch the hour, you just change it. It's no big deal, right? But when the hour hand is attached to the Earth, you can't just spin the Earth back 15 degrees or advance it 15 degrees forward at your whim. And, is it a big deal that now we have noon here at the top? I made a big thing about sundials and telling the time of day at night using the stars, which is possible, but nobody does that anymore. But the fact is, this time here, noon, is a profoundly influential moment during the day. There is still a great deal of resistance to the idea that we humans and other animals are electromagnetic beings. We are sensitive to invisible and subtle electromagnetic environmental stimuli. Now, most people don't think of light as an electromagnetic phenomena, but it is. And plants feed off of light, which is part of the electromagnetic spectrum of the sun, but the sun also emits heat. And who knows what the sun is emitting? I mean, it has an immensely complex magnetosphere, along with the Earth has a magnetosphere. All of the planets except for Mars and Venus have very pronounced what's called intrinsic magnetospheres. And even Mars and Venus have induced magnetospheres. In other words, they have an electromagnetic presence. Their location is part of the electromagnetic information of the solar system. And there's information associated with the configuration of the solar system. And I don't know, I think that this might be important. It's possible that it is. And so when you talk about noon as being an important event is because that is when there's the most energy in the environment at that particular time. And midnight is the midpoint of the sleep period, and your best sleep occurs on either side of midnight. It should be nestled down here at the bottom and symmetric relative to the twilight dial. And if you were to do that, set up your biorhythms so that they reflected the planetary biorhythms, the idea is that this is the most healthful, energetic configuration that you can accomplish. And maybe that would help with your health problems if you have any. It's something you can consider, and we all have our particular beliefs about the significance of what's around us. So anyway, these are my thoughts when it comes to daylight savings. I once again, it's easy to get around it. I mean, it's just a number associated with the time, unless you're trying to make sense of it in terms of space and time, which are connected through this monad calendar clock. All right, I'm going to try not to have another daylight savings video. Hopefully that's it. Thank you once again, and if you can, please help out with this Kickstarter campaign so that we can keep this event manager building, and it's going to be pretty great when we add all these features. You're going to love it, I hope. So, all right, now that event's over. Thank you again.